don't kill me and my baby. I'll do anything. Just please don't hurt my baby. Shut your filthy mouth. I slurred at her right before I slapped her in the face just to silence her. Before I knew what I was doing, I pulled the trigger, killing the baby and her mother. I woke up drenched in sweat and panting. This was one of the dreams I kept living after I returned from the war. I knew in my head that I was suffering from PTSD. Good afternoon, class. My name is p4.final.koladele, and I'm part of the Humans and History at War group. Today I'm going to be doing a persuasive speech on the government, how the government is not doing enough to help soldiers that are returning from the war. By the end of my speech, I would like to convince the audience that the government is not doing enough to help returning soldiers from the war. In my speech, I'm going to talk about the aspects of life that soldiers suffer from because of the war. Then I'm going to ask if the government is doing enough to help them. Lastly, I'm going to suggest some ideas that the government can devise to help soldiers. Now, let me inform you with some side aspects soldiers face after the war and how it affects them. First, the physical effects. Some soldiers may face severe injuries, like this guy in this picture. He's obviously lost his leg and now he needs prosthetic legs. Now he's not able to do many of the things that he was able to do before, and he has to become accustomed to using his new legs. This will ultimately change his lifestyle because he has to rely on prosthetic legs. The mental effects. Soldiers sometimes suffer from PTSD, which is post-traumatic stress disorder. This can make soldiers violent, paranoid, and very tense. It can also cause them to have nightmares and be restless at night. This disorder causes them to be very emotional. Sometimes they feel like killing themselves or other people. They'll become very antisocial because they feel disconnected from other people. This eventually affects their everyday life because this damages their interaction with people and their feelings.
Thank you.
Now, let me ask the bigger question. Is the government doing enough to help our soldiers returning from the war? According to the Health Awareness website, 72% of the soldiers believe that the government is not doing enough to help soldiers cope with their trauma. They aren't able to give them one-on-one attention that they deserve to help them. This is mainly because there's not enough funding and money to provide them with better services. And because of this, the rates of suicides increase every day because of PTSD. Proof of this is stated on the New York Times, on a New York Times article. It is mentioned in the New York Times that in the past July, 38 suicide deaths were committed because of PTSD. According to General Lloyd Austin III, the second in command in the Army, he states that it's the worst he's seen in years of the suicide rates. And according to this graph, you can see the amount of suicides committed because of PTSD. And it's obvious that the Army has the most highest numbers. Now, let me suggest some ideas that the government can devise to help soldiers. First, they can give them more time before they deploy them back into the Army. This will help them assimilate back into their regular lives and routines, and they won't have the fear of going back into the battlefield. Also, the government can set up special programs that specialize on one-on-one services, so then each soldier can have their own attention, and it will help them cope with their problems. Maybe in hopes they can control their emotions and problems in the end. In conclusion, if the government took more time to focus on helping troops, less soldiers would suffer from physical and mental side effects, then there will be less suicide rates. Thank you.
Very good. Very good. So 5 minutes, about 10 seconds. Okay.